SQL Server maintains 5 system databases, each of which is important to the efficient running of your instance. On a day-to-day basis, you may not have to touch these databases, but it's very important that you understand their purposes. First, you have the resource DB. It's a physical repository used to store system objects that appears within the schema of every database. It's read-only and should never be modified. However, you'll notice that this database is not visible within Management Studio. If you try to connect from the query window, access to this database will fail, unless you are in single user mode. Next in line, we have MSDB. This is used as a metadata repository for many SQL Server features, including the server agent, backup and restore, database mail, log shipping and policies, and much more. Although this is a very important database to your instance, there is no configuration options for you to consider. So when you learn to configure your database mail, this is where all the information will be stored. When you configure your SQL Server jobs, this is where your configurations will be stored. And also for your backup history, this is where all your backup history information is stored. So if you have frequent transaction log backups, you may want to use the SP delete backup history procedure to purge some of the data from this database. However, this can be automated in a maintenance task, which don't worry, you'll learn all about this further on in this course. The next database you have is the master database. Master is a system database that contains metadata for instance level objects such as link servers, logins, which we just discussed previously, link servers, TCP endpoints, master keys, and much more. It would be ideal to take a backup of this database whenever you create a login, alter a login, create a link server, or make system configurations. So for this database, you want to ensure that no user objects are stored under this database. No tables, no stored procedures, nothing like that. If you want to have a maintenance database, then you create one for that purpose. The model database is a template for all new databases that are created on the instance. This means that spending time to configure this database can save you a lot of human errors in the future when creating user databases. So out of all the databases so far, this is the one that you should be configuring. So for example, if you want to set the initial size of each database, then you can configure this in the model database. How much the log files grow, how much the transaction logs grow, you can set all of this in the model database. So even though you specify all of this in the model, when you are creating the database using the create database statement, you can override all of these options. So additionally, if you want a specific object to exist across all your database whenever you create them, for example, a maintenance stored procedure or a database role, you can create this in the model database, and when you create the new database, it will be created from the template database. The model database is also used for creating the TEMP DB every time the instance starts up. So basically, if you create objects within the model database, it will be automatically created in the TEMP DB when the instance starts up. So now you should get an excellent idea of how the model database works. And last but not least, you have the TEMP DB. TEMP DB is a workspace used by SQL Server when it needs to create temporary objects. This applies to temporary tables created by users and also table variables. The TEMP DB is also used for spooling and sorting data, online index operations, triggers, and even running the dbcc command. Because the TEMP DB is responsible for so many tasks in high volume instances, it's likely to have a very high throughput. So you should spend some time to configure your TEMP DB.